Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Nadia Hessen, and I am your City Council liaison. So every councilor sits on a different board or commission or several, and I get to work with you all, and I'm super excited for that. Very brief background on me. My dad's from India, my mom's from Pakistan, and I was born and raised here in the United States, mostly on the East Coast. And then when I was in high school, my parents came to what we called Oregon, Oregon, but is also known as Oregon. I did graduate from Westview High School, so I'm from around here, and had the honor to teach at Sunset High School for a year and Beaverton High School. So I heard a couple of you BHS alums, which is super awesome. I am a duck though, so the orange and black is not the best color for Beaverton High School Beavers. But I will say much of my advocacy and involvement is informed by a lot of my experiences at Beaverton High School working with students. I'm really excited to be working with you all. Although I'm not like an official member, I will say what I'm super excited about with this group specifically is, we've seen so much struggle in this last 2 years, and like the humanity of like communities coming together and us taking care of each other as neighbors, as people, as friends. And so finding ways to take care of the people that live down the street, take care of the people that live in the next complex over, and just making sure that we are, we've got food, we've got housing, we've got support, we've got mental health resources. So I'm super excited about that. I am a mom. I've got 3 kiddos, 10, 7, and 2. So I'm also in the sort of phase of like, we're in remote learning and we're not in remote learning. So I'm really thankful that my kids were able to go back today. We had remote learning last week, which for mom and dad was not good because I do work full time in addition to serving as your counselor. It is my hope and dream that you all feel like you can access me and ask questions. I'll pop my email into the chat. Part of the meeting, I will provide a city council liaison update. So I'll try to go pretty high level for you all. And if you have questions, I'll try to leave a couple minutes. I know we're already a little behind, so I'll try to go fast. And then you're always welcome to shoot me an email. I'm happy to make time with you. If you're more comfortable with Zoom, that's fine. I'd love to just be as accessible to you all as possible. That's really important to me. I also, just for reference, live in the Five Oaks, Triple Creek area, and every restaurant you mentioned is the best. The one restaurant that I didn't hear is Bombay Pizza. It's a newer place. It is in the Five Oaks, Triple Creek area. It's right by the IHOP, I think that somebody mentioned. So right off of Walker, really good. It's like a fusion of Indian food and pizza. So like, take a chicken tikka masala and like throw it on a pizza, and that's what you get. And if you're going to go there, please order the buttered chicken pizza. That's probably the best. Last year, I know you probably saw us go through our new form of government, which was, a labor of love for some and a labor of insanity for others. We are finally finalizing that form of government in the sense that the people are in place to help make the things happen that we want to have. On December 11th, we had a council retreat where we identified specific priorities that our city council wanted to focus on. And once we've identified those priorities and finalized them and voted on them, our city manager, Jenny, will put together a working plan that focuses on those priorities. So I'm going to read those priorities to you all slowly. These are not finalized. So these were kind of like, we talked about them, we were excited about them. They still need to come back to us in a formal manner, but it's helpful for you all to know as members in our community what we're talking about. The first one was a welcoming community. So focused around welcoming every single person in this community, continuing to build awareness, creating spaces for people to gather. The second one is around good government. So how are we responding to our constituents? How are we getting back to people, ensuring that people feel seen and heard, and then continuing to create awareness around what we're actually doing. The next one was public safety. So what does public safety look like for every single one of our community members and not just a couple? What does culturally competent and trauma-informed public safety look like? Then we had housing, so ensuring that every single person has access to affordable housing here in this city. Economic prosperity, people can not only live here, but live here in a comfortable manner and have the support that they need. Workforce development opportunities, helping our businesses, We also talked about quality infrastructure. So what does it look like to have quality utility and transportation infrastructure as we look at water, roads, and just basic basic streets and safety and how we do that. The last two, environmental sustainability. So what does it look like to focus towards our climate action plan specifically? And so we've got a really robust climate action plan. And then last but not least was sort of community wellness and fun. So what does it look like to encourage intergenerational connections between each other, between our neighborhoods, and continue to amplify and celebrate the work of the city staff? That's a lot. So I'm going to take a second and pause. Again, these were high-level priorities. They have not come back to council in a formal capacity for us to really talk. And ultimately, it will be the city manager's job to put together a work plan towards these priorities to see what we're going to be able to accomplish in 2022. I'll pause. What questions, if any, can I answer?
I saw a hand up, but then it went down. Any questions out there? You can raise your hand or wave at me or put it in the chat. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, Terry.
Is there a certain goal that you think BCCI would be best able to help you achieve? I see a couple of them.
Yeah, I think community wellness is a big one when I think about what we're talking about here. And I think a welcoming community. I mean, those are the two that, like, for me personally, kind of resonate. But I do think that in all of this group is going to be really important to help inform how we continue to do work that serves the needs of our community. And what's complicated for everyone is that in the previous form of government, you could kind of work around a councilor or a mayor to kind of get what you wanted. And in this new form, the city manager really directs the operations and administration of the city, and the council really focuses on policy priorities specifically. The other thing I'll just add, just from a council update, we did have a work session to talk about our legislative framework. So for those of you folks who are just unfamiliar, every year in Salem, the legislators come together, they talk about like what are the bills, what are the things they want to do. The city of Beaverton wants to have a seat at the table. So if there's work around climate action goals, if there's work around housing goals, the city council informs our lobbyist and or the mayor together, and then they make those asks for us in Salem. This is important because there's a lot of conversations that are happening around, for example, banning fireworks as just an example. There are things that we can do within our city limits, but we're limited because of our city limits. And so sometimes some issues, not fireworks, I'm just giving an example, but some issues require advocacy at the county level and or at the state level. So when we talk about a lot of our climate action goals, some of that really comes from our advocacy that happens in the state legislature. So I'm going to drop a link to the agenda bill of our legislative framework in the chat, just for you all to have reference to. And then I'll also pop in my email. I'll be at the meeting for the remainder of the evening. So if you have any questions or anything comes to mind, please don't hesitate to shoot me a chat or let me know.
Right. Thank you so much, Councillor Hasan. Any other questions or comments? Right. Thank you, everyone. We'll move swiftly to Liz and Diana to give a website redesign and software upgrade.
Hi, everyone, and good evening. I'm Diana Balish. I'm the communications officer for the city. I'm in the city manager's office now, and I've been with the organization for 6 years. It's nice to see a lot of you again. I've worked on a number of different projects, from public safety center to arts campaigns, housing, and I see a lot of familiar faces here who have touched a lot of those in very meaningful ways. I think I have personally heard Frosty say this is one of his last BCCI meetings at least 30,000 times. So I don't think he's that successful yet, but it's so nice to see all of you. I'm going to introduce Liz really quickly before we get started on the presentation. She's the project manager for this endeavor, and has also been with the city for quite a number of years. So I want her to be able to share a little bit about her history and her involvement too. And then I will start sharing my screen.
Hi, welcome everybody. I'm Liz Craig. I'm the web manager for the city of Beaverton, and I've been with the city for about 20 years. Currently, I'm working on this large project of redesigning city website and upgrading to a new software platform. It's a really great project. It's going to have lots of benefits for our users, public users. And it's very exciting. We will go live in April. Currently, we're in the second phase of the project. So any advice or feedback we can get about this project from you will be highly valued by us. Thank you.
All right, so you should be seeing the presentation now. I'm hoping that you can, and I'm going to practice advancing just to see if that works as well. That's always my struggle with things. So did someone see the slide change?
Yes.
Great.
Yep. Yep.
So I won't go back to the first slide. It's really just an introduction on the website redesign and software upgrade. But this is a project that we've now been working on for about 6 months, but really has been in design and in the works for a number of years. We've been trying to redesign, think about a migration, and then also look at different software opportunities, really so that we can have a more modern user experience with enhanced functionality and new features. So the existing website has been live now for more than several years. We're probably hitting an industry standard and best practice where we should be looking at the website anyways. But I think in review over the past couple of years, we've really started to identify some key issues with how the website is being designed, how staff are interpreting the purpose of the website, and how we can move forward looking at it in some different ways. So our goals and objectives and why we're doing this now is really to turn the website into a more communications friendly, public focused, user oriented, and not department oriented tool for both our public and our community members and staff members to use too. But if you go on the website right now, you probably need to go in there with some understanding of how the city functions and how we're organized to really get the information that you're looking for. That's not something that we want to continue to promote. We want the content to reflect the community more, not necessarily just be an information dump about what different departments have going on in their areas. We want the navigation to be more intuitive. So really quickly, and whether you're on your home computer or a mobile device, you can get the information at your fingertips quicker and speedier. We want to make sure that what we're providing makes sense to you. So the homepage information should be the most currently sought after information. We don't know that that is the case now. And we want to use it as really an active communication tool, not only to give information to community members, residents, visitors, and businesses, but to allow for two-way communication too. So to make the site a little bit more interactive in the way that we are providing feedback and promoting public involvement will be really key. And Liz is going to talk more about the technology behind how some of that will come to be. And I'm talking more about the organization, the content, and the structure of that. So Liz is going to take it over from here and share the next few slides. But what I really wanted to share is that this has been an impressive project in the sense that all staff members have really played an important key part in making sure that the website redesign happens. And so we've had a cross-departmental group of staff come together, not their day-to-day job, but to really to help volunteer to make the site in this next iteration the best it can be. We've had about 30 departmental meetings between our staff members and our consultant. So it's nice to see that everyone has a shared vision right now for taking this website and this communication opportunity to the next level. So Liz, I'm going to let you go on from here for these next few slides and talk about what the technology means for this new system.
So the new technology is called Headless Content Management System, as opposed to the traditional content management system. It's called HCMS for Headless Content Management System, is the newest concept of developing websites on the market. It's very beneficial for developers who can create something great for the users. So it's a paradise for developers because it allows for agile development, which is development that we can do it faster, easier, it's more flexible, easier to upgrade into the future. The site can stay updated and fresher, faster and for longer periods of time. It doesn't require entire redesign and redevelopment next time we would like to make changes. So it accounts for lower costs into the future. And it also allows for multi-channel architectures like mobile and tablets and whatever various devices people like to use to access our website. So it basically separates content entirely from business logic, which is very beneficial for people who are developing sites and how quickly can they move the site around. Next slide. So let me share a little bit about our analytics. We have analyzed and looked at the numbers just to see and understand how users are using our website, because we need to know what users want and how they're using website. So we are getting around 800,000 visits per year, which doesn't include documents and applications. With the documents, which are the downloads, it's about 2.5 million a year. A lot of people are accessing our site via mobile devices. We are getting close to 50%. So we have decided we will use approach called mobile first. We'll develop the site for mobile devices. At the same time, it needs to work for everything in between, including big screens and smaller screens. We also are going to upgrade searches and analyze some analytics for searches. We looked at how our site performs as is compared to industry standards, and noticed that average visit of our users is about, it's very close to industry standard. Industry standard is, I believe, 2.5 minutes. However, visitors leaving after one page when they enter, it's a little bit higher than average. Next one.
And that's something too that really struck out at us, I'll just add, is we don't want people to leave necessarily just after the one piece of information that they're getting. If we can make the site a little bit more engaging and share information with people that they necessarily weren't going there for the first reason to see, it might be helpful to us in the long term to just share the many different programs and services that we're offering.
So looking at search terms, we realized that we need to optimize our future search engine and make it a little bit more user-friendly, and how we're going to tag pages will influence on how people will find what they're looking for. But in addition to this, we are going to expand the search into something that uses artificial intelligence, and it's called Phrase. It's kind of a bot that will try to figure out what people are searching for. It will allow us to analyze and look at what people are searching for and optimize the website. People don't have to use it. Some people may not like it. It's optional. So all of these features are going to be optional for the user, but it will be something new we will try this time. Next. Looking at the pages and top pages people are searching for, we are using this data to include links to this information directly from a homepage or a second link from a homepage, because now we know what people are really looking for. So this important information needs to be very close to the surface of the website. Thank you. Next one.
We know now more than ever too, I'm going to take over for these next few slides, that we are in a virtual world. And that's one of the things that we really wanted to stress with this redesign as well, is even if we all can look forward to those days of maybe normalcy and in-person services to some extent, we hope that we're not entirely going back to a full opportunities like we were before. And so we want the web page to continue on as a virtual face of our city. We want to embrace the fact that this is the #1 place for residents to access information and services. And we want to keep it easy. So people shouldn't be able to get really great in-person customer services and then have a delayed or different opportunity when they're searching for information on the website. And so we want to make sure that content is as fresh and lively as possible, and that we're really putting the effort behind the scenes to make the information that's being presented to the public in the front of the house just as efficient as we would be if you came to City Hall or the library or one of our facilities and asked someone a question. The new website is going to look a bit different. And so we embraced some new guidance from our marketing team, which is a really great group of in-person staff who have a great eye for how the information that we are presenting to the community should look and feel. So this was kind of our mood board or our vision board for how we wanted the new site to be. It's a little bit more neutral with our primary and secondary colors, but that's very intentional because we want some of our photos to be able to tell the story of the city moving forward and focus less maybe on our color choices and our font choices. We're also thinking about updating our branding and our marketing plans moving forward too. And so we didn't want to be stuck with this new site being live before some of those other changes were made. And so this gives us opportunity to be flexible with the new design as we proceed with maybe updates in some other areas. But we definitely wanted to be able to embrace our values through some of our picture choices, and then also really to rely on some of those primary and secondary colors. And what came from that is our new homepage that is going to be live and the rest of the site in April. And so I'm still hoping that we can take you to the actual site after this presentation. Liz and I were having some technical difficulties before this, but this is just a snapshot of the very first part of the site that you will see. You can see that we've increased kind of the navigation. We've elongated some of the photo choices so that we can make that a live scroll that's a little bit more dynamic and visual serving. But as you scroll down on the page, which we can't see here because it's static, we also see some dynamic live news feed opportunities and calendaring that the new site doesn't, or the existing site doesn't have, because it's a little bit more limited in kind of the mobile world. And so I'm hoping that we can share a link after the presentation and that Liz can kind of walk us through some of that too, because it's really neat to see. And then Liz, if you want to just wrap it up with these last couple of slides.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. So the project had 3 phases originally. The third phase is on hold right now. It's integration phase, which we can do later. What it means is we can integrate this HCMS, because HCMS is all about integrations, with other systems like Constant Contact or SharePoint Online. It has all these capabilities when we want to do something in the future. Phase 1 is finished. It was basically a preparation phase, preparation for migration, lots of meetings and discussions and designing and so forth. Right now, starting January, we enter a phase 2, which will end in April. That's when we go live with the new website. So right now we are actually doing the work of migrating, of building various data types and application interfaces. This phase will also have some training for us and our departmental team members. Next. So these are the key dates within this phase. January 14, it was the time when we basically started migration. So on that day, we started having 2 sets of sites. We still have the new site, that is the old site, which is the current site, which is still running and people are using. But in the background, we have a copy of the entire site and we're building a new one. So we're kind of maintaining 2 websites. As this maintenance and migration keeps going, on March 15th to 17th for 3 days, we'll have an intensive training on the new system. That's where we'll set up all the application interfaces. So when our departmental team members come to training on March 30th and 31st, they will have all those application interfaces so they can populate with content like agenda and minutes, notifications, connecting pages, and just designing everything. So, and then after that, we're going live on April 18. So far we are on track, and I think we will be able to meet the deadline.
So our ask for you in this presentation is twofold. One is for your patience. As we maintain 2 websites over the next few months, we might see some issues arise. So we're trying to streamline the new site while at the same time maintaining content and functionality of the existing site. And so if you see something that looks a little out of place, or maybe there's a broken link here or there, please let us know so that we can fix that as migration to the new site continues. But really, we're hoping that we can take these next few months still to look at the existing site, primarily content and structure and some of those organizational things that people don't feel are quite working. And we can see what the flexibility is in the new design to make those improvements happen. And so template pages for different departments is one of the things that we're starting to look at, how we can really make sure that the information is being presented in an active and communication friendly way, all of those things. So if you see examples on the existing site that you either really enjoy or you don't, now's the time to share them our way so that we can see how we can improve our next version of the site and make it as enjoyable to the public as we can. So with that, we'll open it up for questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen too. And I also want to see if Liz might have a chance to actually take us to the new site so we can see it in its more beautiful state. Yay.
So here is the new website. I hope everybody can see it. As you see, when I scroll down, it's a really nice feature because the top banner, which is called sticky banner, it kind of stays with you. So you can keep scrolling down, but then you can access navigation anytime, any point during your journey of scrolling down. So this is a very nice feature. And also we have this feature of translating into other languages available on every page from the banner. We have access to our social media and search. In addition, for our regular main navigation, we added this item of business. We didn't have this before. We had like departments. Right now, departments are going to be under government. We're going to keep government, community services, business, and how do I. So business is a new section. Then all these icons you see, it's basically taken from our analytics. Like people are searching for how to make payments or permits, licenses, on how to report a problem. So all of these are showing up here at the top of the page. Then this interactive news will follow. So we divide our news into featured news and press releases. In addition, at the bottom here, it will be like special announcements section when we have street closures or building closures, something special we would like to announce to people. And there will be a section for how people can get help from various sources. And the content is still coming for this section, but we will have various information about how to contact us. This will be a calendar for meetings and events. We separate meetings from events, like meetings are public meetings, city council, planning commission, boards and commissions, and events is more like common, like welcoming week, and it used to be like picnics in the park or various other meetings, events. And then we also have popular links. These are also items of information that people were looking for. Through analytics, we will see they're really high to the top, and people are really looking for how to renew passports, information about recycling, or utilities. They were very hot topics for people to search for. And then it's our footer that includes various information, how to, where we're located, how to contact us, frequently asked questions, various legal disclaimers that we need to have on our website. And these mega menus will open up to additional content. Of course, it's empty right now, as you can see. It was just, test and so on, but this will be like a menu that opens up with a structure that people can search and access additional information.
And a structure that is more public friendly and not necessarily department friendly.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
So if you have any questions, we would love to answer them. Frosty, I think you had your hand up first.
Yes, there are so many more beautiful sceneries around Beaverton and something that looks like downtown New York. Is there a chance we've got the Pat Research Center? We've got the library area. We've got Saturday markets. Is there something that could be much more friendly or enticing than railroad line?
Definitely. And the pictures are for placement only. I should have mentioned that.
Okay.
So we had to hand over like 3 or 4 pictures to our consultant team so that they could build the site, and all of that functionality will come to us.
Yeah.
I personally don't like some of these images that we use too, and I don't think they showcase us that very well, but that's when our marketing team will take over and really highlight all of the kind of beautiful imagery that is Beaverton.
Yeah, fortunately, we don't look like downtown Portland or Los Angeles, but we've got some really good environmental pictures that we can have, especially Pat Reeser's so new.
Yep.
Will be so, well, it is new, but we'll be opening up here soon.
Yep. March 1st, I bought my tickets, my first tickets today. So excited.
Yep, we've got some chairs there. So thank you so much.
Sharon?
To Frosty's question, first off, is that going to be a slider? In other words, is that going to be one image and then another image going through?
I believe yes, but I'm gonna have Liz answer that.
Yes, what it's going to be is every time you access website, you will see a different picture.
Okay.
So yes, so when you refresh a page, there will be a new picture.
Okay, that was not my original question, but I was tagging on to
That's
Frosty's.
a great idea, by the way, Sharon.
So the other thing is too, you know, and the thing about blue that came about in a conversation today when I went to Beyond Van Gogh, and it was that blue is such a calming color, and I like to see that in there. But my main point here, I've got my NAC hat on, and I did a little scavenger hunt for myself going into the current website. From the standpoint of if somebody moved into this area and did not know what a NAC was, and did it from the standpoint of how do I find my neighborhood? And so the how do I, and then in the current one, you scroll way down, it has find and it has X, Y, and Z. It doesn't have neighborhood. The search tool is fantastic. It is the one that has the fewest clicks. If you put in neighborhood, you will get to neighborhood that will essentially then go to NAC. So the search and also the community one was the other really well-intended, you know, not so many clicks to get to where we want them to go. There was a left side navigation, which is, I don't think here anymore. And that had media, and then it was alphabetized. And I was wondering if neighborhood could be put into that, but I don't even see that in the current information architecture here. And then under helpful links, again, somehow to put in neighborhood, because a lot of people would move here and not know what a NAC is. And some people think of a NAC as a homeowners association. So it's trying to make it the simplest thing to connect neighborhood first, then to NAC. If there's a way in which to do that, and I know that Mike Muma has got his thing with emergency management, it takes you right to the page. But if there's some way on the home page to strengthen that, because I can see where it's not even on the top 20 in the analytics. I'm not sure how many people go there.
Yeah, that's a great question for us. We can go and do some more research, but I think there's going to be more opportunity than in the past to be able, for us to be able to name things in a way that will get people to multiple places in the simplest amount of attempts possible. And so you might not know that you're looking for NAC, and neighborhood might be a key term for you. But if I'm looking for something, that might not be the first word I'm looking for. If I'm seeing, like, what are those volunteer opportunities for me? And so it's being able to also just key term our way into, I think, the most useful pages for people. But I could see us coming back to this group when we do start getting down to the wordsmithing of things, because it's really difficult for us sometimes when we live and breathe certain terms for years and years to think, well, how does my neighbor actually think of this group or this program? And so we could probably use some help in that arena when the time comes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
It looks beautiful.
Annette, I see your hand. Did someone else have their hand up though? I can't see everyone right now.
I think it was Connect. I'm trying to follow
Okay.
up on who. Yeah, it was Connect.
I think Bing had her hand up before me.
Her hand is lowered now. There is Bing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I just agree with Sharon on feeling like the neighborhood associations are a bit buried in the current format, and there are things like events and minutes and things like that that people would look for, I think, if they knew they were there. We're using our Facebook quite a bit, and it seems that this would be an ideal time to elevate the NAC websites a bit. But I had a question about one of the problems that I've come across on using sites like this is how easy they are to, oh, there's Bing. I'm almost done Bing. How easy they are to update, because that is, there'll be minutes that haven't been posted for months and months and months, and information I might look for with a joint project or something like that, and not find it on their events that aren't listed on that the NACs are involved in, and that sort of thing. So could you speak to that?
Yeah, I think some of that is a discussion around centralization of the website, and we are still in conversation around that. So at this time, we have a lot of different departments who take a lead in kind of updating their own content and their own pages, because Elzbieta or Liz and her team, they will be really fast with getting work orders to update certain pages, and within 24 to 48 hours, it's there. But we don't always know as a communication group or a web team what updates need to be made, because there's hundreds, if not thousands, of pages of information. And so we are looking at centralization more to see if we can have maybe less hands in the web page pot and having just a handful of eyes that are really dedicated in making sure that content, minutes, information are as fresh and active as possible. So I think that will be one of the ways in which we can make sure that the resource is actually more useful as a communication tool and not just an information dump, which is sometimes what we see really great information turn into, because everyone goes in to creating a new web page with this really great mindset, and then 6 months after the project has been going, we don't see as many active updates happening. And so I think it's a retrain of city staff that we'll be working on, and then looking at centralization opportunities. And Liz, I don't know if you had any more that you wanted to share on that.
No, this is exactly true what you said, Diana. We just need to kind of make sure that content is up to date, and that is up to city employees to go and check the content, up to departments, and just keep sending us the updates, or do themselves. And this is why we're training 22 departmental team members, and so they can understand the new system, they can make the updates fast. I also want to speak to the finding NAC, finding neighborhood. From the top of my head, I can already think of 2 good places where I could put it on the homepage or close to homepage. One is how do I? So when people put cursor over how do I, they can say, how do I find my NAC, my neighborhood? We can explain what that is. And also our new advanced search, which is the phrase, the one driven by artificial intelligence, can be configured and programmed in a way so people can right away see that question and get the answer right away from the top of that little widget that's going to show up on the page. So those 2 places, I would say it will be a great place to add this information, but there could be others. And we're just going to discuss it in the team and see how we can approach this and make it a little bit closer to the surface and easier to find, because it's a really good suggestion.
Bing and Terry, just very briefly, to your point, Liz, when you say, how do I, if it could be not NAC, but neighborhood first, because
Correct.
a lot of people will not know what a NAC is.
Okay.
But how do I find my neighborhood, or how do I find neighborhood, something like that. And then that would lead you to NAC. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut in there.
Right. And we can even kind of say, how do you find your neighborhood? And we can explain also known as NAC, and it's a neighborhood association committee or something like this. So people know and they can connect both of them. Because sometimes on the website, I see people use NAC, sometimes they use neighborhood, and people may not know that this is the same thing. So we have the opportunity to connect these terms together.
Bing?
Yeah, I think this new website looks great, but I had a little technical background. So another thing I'm wondering is about the loading speed, because a lot of people, they use their phone, they use the device. If loading speed is not as good, people get frustrated. Especially like if we're using a lot of pictures or rotating or whatever, and that might slow down. I don't know. One of the things I'm thinking of is like how, no matter how wonderful the picture is, after a while people get bored. So I just wondering whether we can do like that Google thing, Google Doodle. I mean, is those ideas. We can get like something just like really clean, but simple. We can get just one picture, but maybe we can do ask the public. Now everybody has a phone. There's a lot of great artists in our area. They can take the Beaverton, like any picture or sightseeing or wherever they go, they can have a beautiful picture of Beaverton. And maybe we can have a place for people to submit that, and people can vote on that. Beautiful pictures, we can put that picture, they may have a great artist, they took beautiful picture, right? So we put that for every month or every week or whatever frequency, we can change that. So give people like a new, every time they go there, they see something different. Maybe that's, I don't know whether it's a good idea, and we can get people involved. We can get artists or even the regular residents. They can take anything they see beautiful on their phone, they can submit. Or they can start, people can like voting on that, so they involve on those things.
I love that idea. It's so fun. And I think we'll have a follow-up conversation with our arts team to see if there's some connection that we can make between our marketing groups and them, to see what kind of visual fun we can have with the site, because you're right. And we also know that photos, appeal to some and they don't appeal to others. And we all see things in our own lens. And so sometimes art can be a little interpretive and offer some flexibility in that way. I will say too, with the content loading speed, one of the things we are trying to get away of, and I mentioned it briefly in the presentation, is this idea of having more of the secondary and the third or fourth level pages having less of that dynamic content and focusing it more on the home page. And so we're trying to have those pages have more of a template style feel to them, so that the information is really forward, and getting rid of maybe secondary or third pages having those scrolling photos or photos that aren't really necessary, especially as it deals with ADA compliance. That's one of the things that Liz and her team are really focused on too, is making sure that the site is very accessible. And sometimes the more unnecessary content we have in there, we run into those issues. Terry?
You're muted.
Thank you. Thank you. I happen to be on the Land Use Subcommittee where we were working for on a project to enhance our neighborhood website. And so it kind of got put on hold because of this otherwise citywide initiative. So I'm glad to see this moving forward. But I just had a real quick question because I think it's been a great conversation thus far. We're talking about maybe attaching or creating and then attaching some videos to our content as a way, again, a more dynamic way of communicating concepts to the public. And would that be a format that would be conducive to this new web programming?
Yes, it definitely is. We can definitely embed videos into our web pages. We already are doing it, and we can continue to do this. So you just need to have the video uploaded to YouTube and then provide us with a link or a code that we can embed into a page. And we can definitely have it on the website.
Great, that's good news. And another follow-up question, you were mentioning how frequently used terms end up rising to the top of your, they're more accessible once somebody wants something more and more often. And I guess my question was, will that change over time? Let's say people don't care about passports anymore. They really want to know about their neighborhood. Might that be some change in the priorities?
We watch the analytics basically on a monthly basis, and we will be watching them all the time. So if priorities in how people are accessing content change, we will try to follow the trends that people are doing on our website, because it needs to be user-friendly. It needs to be something that is driven by the user, and we give control to the user versus to what we want to show on the website. It should be what users want to see on the website.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Yeah. In the interest of time, we're gonna go with Caesar and and then we'll move to the next presentation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Deanna, do you know blue color is my favorite color? So that's amazing color.
That's why we did it.
So it's beautiful websites. And a question for Lani and Bintu, after we finish that, like meeting notes, are we able to receive this, the slideshow information and the link, the website, at least to share it with the community? Because the information here, as we see for City of Beaverton people, it's amazing, awesome. Thank you so much. Plus the language is there, any type of language, that's awesome. I appreciate it from you guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah. So yeah, Lani will send out the PowerPoint presentation, and their contact, Diana and Liz's contact details will be there too, if you want to get in touch with them. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for the questions and the contributions. Thanks, Liz and Diana, for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so moving on. Hello, did someone say something? Okay. Moving on, we're going to move on to the Code Compliance Program update, and that will be done by Kimberly, the City Building Official and Code Compliance Manager, Kevin Pillett, Code Compliance Officers, Drew and Rick. Please take on charge. Thank you.
Drew can take charge. There you go. All right, hi, my name is Rick Redesign. I'm a Code Compliance Officer. I've been with the city for almost 10 months at the same time in Oregon. I'm originally from the South. They brought me here from Savannah, Georgia. When the program first started, or when we came on board, Drew was the only one that was here, and he had about 400 calls. He was so backlogged. And then I got here with experience, and then Kevin got here with some experience, and we whittled it down to about maybe average of 25 calls a person. So it took some time, and it's going to take more time to get this program up and running. We're trying to develop a personal policy manual. We're trying to develop a lot of things to help the public. Some of the things that we do. My next, I've got Central, Five Oaks, and West. So when calls come in, they get disseminated to whichever neighborhood we have, and then we go and we see what the problem is. If there's a violation, take pictures, and then we get the ball rolling in the computer. We get cases going. That's primarily how we do our calls. They either come in on the problem log or they come in through a phone call. and then we generate the call. The ones that I have are pretty, Five Oaks is one of my easier ones. It's the bigger one, but I get fewer calls there. Central is more business, and so I don't get a lot of calls. And then West, I do get the majority of my calls come from West. We do a lot of sidewalk repairs, and I'm gonna let Drew, he's gonna handle that one because he's sort of our de facto sidewalk guy. But like I said, this program, we've been doing it for about 10 months almost, and it's come a long way from when it was just Drew holding down the fort, waiting for 2 other guys to get hired. And I think we do a really good job. It's challenging some places. I like the fact that Beaverton is more laid back than Savannah. In Savannah, we would just hammer you. I mean, that's just how it goes down there, a little more fast paced. Here we allow a little more time to comply. And the truth is most people will comply. Even if you give them extra time, they will comply. When they see that you're willing to help out any way we can, to help them comply, they come into compliance, which makes the neighbors happy, us happy, the city happy. So that's just kind of a thumbnail sketch of who I am. I'll let my coworker Kevin talk now because he's second.
Hi there, I'm Kevin. I'm native to Beaverton. I was born and raised here. Fir Grove Elementary, Highland Park Middle School, and then Beaverton High School. So I spent some time in the military between my high school time and coming back to Oregon. I went to Oregon State a little bit before, and then now I moved back home in about 2009. So been back here since. My wife is also from Beaverton, so we're raising our kids kind of in the area. I also spent 5.5 years as a park patrol officer for THPRD and 3 years with the Beaverton Police Department as well. So I'm very familiar with the city. My areas of the city are Sexton Mountain, South Beaverton, Neighbors Southwest, Greenway, and then the new, what's going to be South Cooper Mountain out by Tile Flat and Shoals Ferry, about by the new high school. So those are the areas that I cover. You can reach us on the website, as I think Rick mentioned, but you can find us on the how to report a problem around the city, and it'll go to us, and we'll take care of it. We look forward to working with everyone. I'm going to hand it over to Drew.
You're on mute.
Thank you. Yeah, as Kevin was saying, I'm Drew Vanderveen. I'm one of the code compliance officers for Beaverton. I'm currently assigned to Denny Whitford, West Slope, Vose, and Highland NACs. Vose and Highland are probably the 2 highest volume calls of NACs we have in the city. And with that, I'll talk about the Sidewalk grant program. If anybody has used that before, it's a tremendous advantage. We do have a lot of disrepaired sidewalks in Beaverton due to the vast amount of street trees that we have. It's not cheap replacing sidewalks in the city, and the city council know that and wanted to take a little bit of the burden off homeowners, so they did allocate money every year to address that. It will pay 50% up to a certain dollar amount to repair those sidewalks. It's a very well used program. We're very proud of how far it goes, how many people it helps. With that, it is very popular, and it's likely to be used up this year as it has been in years past. I'm going to go ahead and put our phone number in the chat. What this phone number does is it rings all 3 of our phones at the same time. So you are almost guaranteed to get a live person whenever you report a problem in the city. With that, does anybody have any questions for us?
I have one comment.
Yep.
I actually learned something from Kevin when he came to Sexton Mountain NAC. And that is to tell your neighbors not to try and patch a sidewalk. That is not, you put cones or caution tape or whatever, but do not patch a sidewalk. And you can probably speak to that more.
Advice.
Right.
Yeah, what that does in our winter climates, that cement patch does not hold. It flakes off, and it actually becomes slick if we get freezing weather, which we had this year. Trip hazards all around. So definitely not a great idea. If you're thinking about patching, give one of us a call first, and we'll come out and look at it and kind of give you what options we think are best to fix that hazard. Good call. Good point.
Okay, I think Frosty, Ramona had her hand up, and then Frosty, and then Councilor Hasan have a question in the chat. So Ramona, you're next.
I didn't really have my hand up, but since you've called on me, I do have one question. Does Kimberly Macarthur have any role in the code department, code compliance?
Yes, she's the actual manager. She had a family emergency tonight, so that's why it shows her name. But she is all three of our boss, as well as city building official. She's got many, many hats. And normally she'd be on, but she texted me right before and she said she was sorry that, just to go ahead without it. But she's our boss. She's the big boss for us.
Thank you.
And then Frosty.
Yes, thank you. In the South Beaverton area, when it was being developed, the city planted, I don't know if it's the city or the developers planted some trees that instead of the roots going down, they went out and caused the sidewalks to buckle. And when we checked, the city at the time was telling us that was our responsibility, but we didn't plant the trees. What's the guidelines on that? Is your sidewalk repair part of that answer?
I can answer that, and Drew can also answer it too, since he's been doing it. But I cover South Beaverton, so I can help you out there. Yes, the root balls from those trees that were planted, those were put in by order of the city and by the developer. So this developer the city had the developers put those in. They are the responsibility of the homeowners in the planter strips. So that strip of grass between your sidewalk and your streets, the planter strip, you are responsible to maintain those. If they uplift your sidewalk, our grant only covers sidewalks that are uplifted by street trees, or what we would call a street tree.
Even though we didn't plant them.
Correct. Yes. And if they have to be cut down for any reason, most of the time our city arborist tries to save all the trees, and he does a very good job of that. But occasionally we do have to remove a tree, or the homeowner has to have a tree removed because of the root system. It is on the homeowner to have that tree removed and replant a tree. And there's a list of trees that are allowed in the city, and our arborist can share that with the homeowner. But yes, that does. What we do with the tree grants or with the tree price stuff is we also will kind of roll that into a sidewalk repair, so it can help if you haven't quite met the threshold for the full reimbursement amount of $1,500. That tree removal cost can kind of help if you're looking for the full amount. But other than that, it only goes for sidewalks that are uplifted by street trees.
I would submit that that's a good catch-22. That's very unfair to the residents.
We totally agree. Trust me, we all agree on that. I've never seen anything like that, but we all can agree it's not fair at all.
Yeah, you're not alone in that frustration, sir.
Thank you, Frosty. There is a question in the chat. Can you elaborate generally on what code compliance means for our newer members?
Yeah, so code compliance is what code enforcement used to be. Right. We handle municipal code for the city. So we're not building inspectors. We're not out checking your electricals or your plumbing or your your siding or stuff like that on your home. What we're doing is we're making sure that the livability of Oregon or of Beaverton is at a high standard. So we'll come out and make sure that if, hey, my neighbor has a bunch of garbage lined up on the side of the house, or they have a bunch of garbage in the front, or their grass is a foot tall, or they have a dilapidated car in their yard, or stuff like that. Those are the kind of complaints we're going to come out. We're going to talk with the homeowners if we can. We do our very best to work with them to get that kind of stuff handled and removed. We have a few partnerships with organizations around the city that we can on a limited basis offer help for those who may be disabled or elderly that may not be able to care for their yards or whatever. That's what we do. We handle those kind of complaints. We handle the neighbor disputes as best we can. And the shopping carts around the city, signs, snipe signs, illegal signs around the city placed in right of way. Those are the kind of things that we handle. In fact, you'll probably see us driving around in our code pickup, snatching real estate signs out of people's planter strips and stuff. And we're quite good at that. But that's what we're handling. That's what code compliance is. It's just improving the livability of the city.
Thank you. Any other questions? Sharon.
Very briefly to that point about removing signs, what kind of education do you do to inform realtors especially about that so that it doesn't become more of your problem?
It's kind of we don't educate the real estate agents. If we've been asked, we've been driving down the road with a truck bed full of signs and people have flagged us down and said, hey, what are you doing with all those? And we've explained the law. The same thing goes for, unfortunately, lost pets or found pets. We take those signs down when they're affixed to city property. So if you affix them to a stop sign, a light post, a telephone pole, those kind of things, those come down. If we are asked, we don't make it a point to call every realtor and say, hey, don't put your signs up. What we do is we take them, and then if we are asked, we say, look, you can put them up provided you have permission from a private property owner. So if you want to put it in somebody's yard, that's fine, but you need to get permission from the homeowner to do so. We don't care if the signs are up. It's just when they're illegally placed, like driving down Murray Boulevard, and you've got signs on each end of every median going down the street. Not only is it dangerous for people to put those out there, but it's a distraction for drivers.
The NACs might be able to help you with that as well. You know, educating the NACs to educate the people, get the wording out, or the word out.
Yeah, thank you. We'll incorporate that into our NAC meetings because I haven't before, so that's a good idea. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Deborah, please.
Yeah, sort of a follow-up comment / question. Not only realtor signs, but with a primary election coming up in May, political signs, candidate signs. Would that fall under code compliance as well?
They don't, because we've been asked to leave candidacy signs alone during the election. Once the election is finished, the candidate has, I think, 48 hours to remove their signs. And if they don't, then we'll take them once the election's finished.
Okay. And I've been through the sidewalk tree many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And was made aware of it when we received a letter from the city from an employee who we knew personally. But so your comment about, you know, not coming down with a hard hand, I guess it was, you know, it was a letter that was like, unless you take care of this within this amount of time, you're going to be fined. And I think it was like every week there was going to be a fine. And so it was a little.
Well, that was, honestly, that was before our times. And we take a softer approach. In every letter that we send out, if we need to be certified because they're out of city or we need to get a hold of them, we do give a deadline and we give our number, you know, our email. We want them to contact us because we can walk them through this. I don't want to find anybody. I was used to going to court in Savannah once a week and hitting people hard. That's the fact down there. Here, we might go once a year, and that's only when somebody just says, we don't care. Take us to court. I don't care. So we always, it seems a little harsh, but not overly. And if they call us, then a lot of times they understand where we're coming from and we work with them and everything's good.
And so did make use of that money for the replacement, I think, and it was several years ago. One thought that I had now was in contacting contractors for the sidewalk replacement, a lot of them won't come out and do what they call a small job. And so, and I think again, kind of tagging on to what Sharon said, wondering if this is not something that NACs could be helpful in, of if there's several homeowners within a NAC who need to have 2 sections of sidewalk replaced, of pooling together to get a contractor out to do a bunch of jobs in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I can speak to that real quick, Deborah. And that's a great idea. I love recommending that to neighbors. I've got one cul-de-sac where all 5 of the homeowners have some pretty bad sidewalks, and we've coordinated with contractors to come in and do all the work. And so far we've got one contractor on board, and it's saved each homeowner a few $100 because they're coordinating and they're working together with the same contractor, and it's been awesome. We do maintain a list of about 15 contractors that we can recommend to homeowners, and like you said, a lot of contractors won't come out to do small jobs. If you run into that, please give one of us a call, and we will call those contractors and say, hey, I've got someone who really needs a repair. Can you please help them out? We're not afraid to make that call.
Yeah, I think it was, you know, the combination of, unless you get this taken care of by this date, there's going to be a fine, and then finding a contractor to come out within a time frame. It was like sort of, you know, catch 22 of, and so then you get people doing a self patch, right? Because it's like, I got to fix it because I can't afford the fine. And I can only imagine with, you know, construction issues now and getting contractors out, that it's only made the problem worse instead of better. So, and I, you know, recognize that there is a list. There's also a list of street trees for replanting a tree and all of that. But, and, you know, ran into a situation where, in talking about a parking strip, I live on a cul-de-sac. There is no parking strip, but we had a problem with a tree that an arborist recommended be cut down, and then got a letter from the city saying, oh, you cut this tree down and it was a street tree. And it's like, it was in our front lawn. It was not in a parking strip. And so, but the city considered it a street tree. So, you know, it all worked out okay, but it was an interesting learning experience.
Oftentimes there's, for homes that don't have a parking strip or a planter strip, there's an easement in the front yard that a lot of people aren't aware of. It's kind of an offset thing. If you have any questions about it, or if you don't have a planter strip and then you say, oh man, I need to remove this tree to fix the sidewalk, give us a call anyway, and we'll say, yeah, let's get in touch with the arborist, and then we'll see what we can do. Like if they do deem it a street tree, then perfect, then you qualify for the grant. If not, then, you know, we can figure something out. In terms of trees, you can cut up to 4 in your yard that aren't street trees a year without a permit. Is that right, Drew? Without the permit?
Right, 4 per year without a permit.
Yeah, and then in terms of deadlines, Deborah, I understand that they're very pointed, and the point of that is to get people to contact us, much like Rick and Drew said. We will, once we take a case, it's our case. So it doesn't go anywhere else. If I take a case in Sexton Mountain, or I take a case in South Beaverton, or wherever, it's my case, and I can give you extensions or whatever I need to do to help out the homeowners. We do have times where there's homeowners that just say, yeah, I don't really care about the letters you sent me. I don't, and so there are fines that are attached to this. I'm currently involved with a home they just blew me off for a year, or almost a year. And because I've been here 2 weeks less than Rick, so almost 10 months they've been blowing me off. So now I'm abating the house, and that goes on, if they don't pay the abatement, then it goes as a lien on their property. So we do have tools in our toolbox, if you will, that allow us to take those steps should we need to, but most times it doesn't get to that. Yeah. We just ask for compliance on the homeowner's part. Say, hey, at least contact us. Just give us a heads up what you're dealing with, so we can help you out.
Court and abatement are the last way that we want to go. We want to solve it well before it gets before a judge.
Yeah.
Or before we put a lien on their property. I mean, that's not what we're about, but some folks are just not, they're just never going to. It is what it is.
Yeah, to put that in context about abatements, we have had one abatement in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Rick, Kevin, and Drew. Really appreciate the presentation. If anyone have more questions or anything, I think you leave your contact details in the chat, and Lani will send it in when sending the minute. Thank you. So we'll move on to accepting the December minutes. Have everyone looked at the minutes, and we'll move on to approve. All those in favor of approving the minutes?
I think we need a motion.
Yeah, I move to approve the December minutes.
Great. Okay, we'll need a motion. Okay.
Second.
Second. Right.
Now discussion. And then Bintu, if you see no discussion, then you call for the vote.
Okay. Thank you. So yeah, all those in favor? I wasn't here. All those who abstaining? Great. Okay. So clarify, those who did not attend would abstain. Okay. Yeah. Great. Thank you for that clarification, Councilor Hasan. Any other questions before we move on to the next item? Great. So Lani, it's with you with the city updates.
And I'm just looking at the clock. So in the interest of time, I'll email my city update, but usually I do read out the update. And so look for the email from me. It'll include that, as well as some upcoming training opportunities. And this Thursday is the General Board and Commission orientation that will have some valuable information for all new folks, and anyone is also welcome, if you're not new, to also attend if you need a refresher. We'll have Alexis Ball is doing an equity overview, which that is a new piece. So so feel free to come to that. It's on Zoom. We've sent out the link to everyone. You don't even need to RSVP. And with that, Madam Chair, I'll turn it back to you, and I'll put some details in the chat. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, Lani. So the next one is the subcommittee overview. And I am going to say a quick word about the subcommittee. I think today we're going to really talk about what the subcommittees are, and then kind of we need chairs for two of the subcommittees, because I think we have Terry. Are you keeping your position? I think you are. Okay, Terry's keeping her position, and we had someone leaving for event. And I think also we're going to talk about the matching grant. So basically, I asked that everyone on the committee at least join one of these subcommittees. Lani did send a very, very useful document with the minute. I think it's called the resource. Lani, can you help me? The thing that explains about everything.
Oh, the resource handbook.
Yeah.
So I sent that out on Thursday. That has an overview of the subcommittees, but we also have folks here to give a brief overview as well.
Great. Yeah. So we're going to start with Ellen to give a brief overview of the Matching Grant Subcommittee.
Hi, folks. I've been a previous chair of the Matching Grant Committee, and I would be happy to do that again unless somebody wants to step up and take over matching grants. It's the best subcommittee. What can I say? The Neighborhood and Public Involvement Program has a $50,000 budget, which is awesome. It keeps getting bigger every year. And this is for matching grants. So the neighborhood action committees can put forth a project that they want to do for the benefit of the neighborhood, and the city will match up to $3,000 of money that the NAC spends for tree planting or education or document shredding, chalk art festival, wildlife restoration. Really, the sky's the limit. And the NAC doesn't have to actually put up the cash for the $3,000. They can actually put forth volunteer hours, which will count towards that matching grant amount. So what the matching grant subcommittee does is they review the grants. We work with Miles from the city of Beaverton, who runs the program, and we ask questions, and we approve, and we make suggestions, and then we sort of follow up on the back end when the project is done and make sure everything looks good. It can really do a lot of good in a lot of neighborhoods, and so I encourage everyone to take this back to their NAC and say, there's this awesome program, there will give you money to do projects in your neighborhood, and join the little subcommittee and see where we go.
Thank you, Ellen. Sharon, can you please talk about the event subcommittee?
Sure, I'm going to be very brief. There are two events that are kind of in the pipeline right now. The Voters Forum has had years of history, and I think Jim Percy has given us 1990, what was it, Jim? 95? 96?
Yeah, 1996 is the last record I have. And
Okay,
I'm not
so
sure
it's
it
been
wasn't a year or two before that.
Right, so it's been in existence for a long time and a very, very integral part of the BCCI. So this spring's Voters Forum is going to be April 28th. It will be at the Patricia Reeser Center for the Arts, which is fantastic, contingent on COVID, of course. So it's most likely going to be a hybrid event, a hybrid in-person event. Also would be available online. There are going to be more details to come next month. So keep that in mind. The second one is the volunteer fair, which started as a Beaverton Awareness Day. I was in Leadership Beaverton in the 2016 class, and that was our project that spun out into from Leadership Beaverton, and the city picked it up, and it's nonprofit organizations and community groups. And so that's going to be most likely in June, either the 4th or the 11th at the library, again, contingent on COVID. BCCI, how we interface with this whole thing as far as events. And I am going to take, who was it? Was it Ellen who said she had the best subcommittee? I'm going to argue that. So we'll arm wrestle later. So BCCI basically helps to plan the events, helps to create the format, helps to promote the events via networking. So what we are looking for, because they are two major events, are a couple of co-chairs, one possibly for the Voters Forum, one possibly for the Volunteer Fair. And the meetings would be scheduled, often they're, along the lines of, before our BCCI meetings, but we're open. And so if you're interested, please let me know. I've been involved in this committee since even it was before events. It was NAC involvement. If you're interested in doing one of the co-chair or becoming a member of this, please let us know.
Thank you, Sharon. And finally, Terry, can you please talk about the land use subcommittee?
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. Pretty awesome subcommittee as well. 3 arm wrestle is going on. Anyway, land use subcommittee, in general, our role is to consider methods to create and improve two-way communication between city programming and our NACs. And I think a great example of that in 2021 was the traffic calming subgroup of the land use subcommittee headed by our own Kenneth Etheridge. And it became it was a big issue that folks in the NACs were unhappy with some of the traffic calming processes and procedures that have been in play and affecting their neighborhood, they felt, in a negative way. And so the subcommittee was formed, and Kenneth went before the Traffic Commission and with some other members of the subcommittee and convinced the Traffic Commission to make some changes to their programs, but yet they are going to continue in 2022 to pursue some other neighborhood oriented changes to the traffic calming program. And generally, Kenneth, I'll let you kind of jump in here. You guys meet on kind of an as needed basis, or are you coming up with a specific schedule for 2022 meetings?
We were fortunate to be able to the Traffic Commission worked out a recommendation on voting parameters for traffic calming projects, which the neighborhoods are able to use. And that went forward to council, and that was approved in December, I think. Was it? Nadia might know. And then there were some other comments that we were requested to, that came as a result of a request from Traffic Commission to go to all the different NACs and find out what their concerns are. And so we'll look at those individually. My understanding is Traffic Commission will also be looking at those, and we'll move. I think there's some other things that will bear fruit.
Okay, thank you. So more opportunities to participate in that aspect of land use subcommittee work. And I guess our biggest project in 2021 was the working to enhance the neighborhood website with respect to communicating to folks about how they can communicate with the city on when development occurs in their neighborhood. And we were getting full steam ahead until we learned about the general city website update initiative, which we all heard about tonight. And so that's all been put on hold. But I mean, we're going to continue our subcommittee work because I think there are a lot of detailed items that we could still talk about, even though the big web page redo may influence some of the formatting that we were talking about. We are still able to work on some of the, like the videos and some of the tools that we could collect to add to the website content once it's up and running in April. So we will probably still meet before our BCCI meetings on Mondays, if that all works with everybody who's interested in maintaining or becoming members of our subcommittee. So I think that's it. Thank you. Looking forward to 2022.
Thank you, Terry. So yeah, for all our new members, so you can choose to serve on one of these committees. If you do have questions or clarifications, please reach out to Terry, Sharon, or Ellen, and Lani will add that also to the agenda, to the minutes when she's sending it out. I think Frosty, you have your hand up, but there is also a question from Caesar. So Frosty, you go first and I'll read the question.
Yes, Ellen, I'll be happy to continue helping, especially since Miles was able to, we didn't have to, we were able to meet extemporaneously on Zoom too, so that was really helpful. And Bintu, I don't know if you were the Queen's parliamentarian for the upper house, but you've done a fantastic job today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Frosty. Ellen, I think you said you're going to call Caesar, but I just wanted to read your Caesar's question just in case there are newbies here who might be thinking the same. So the question is, matching grant, how can the community or neighborhood apply for it? Or is it only for residential, any matching project for business? You're muted. Okay.
Yes. Right now, it has to be initiated through the NAC, the Neighborhood Action Committee. And it has to be a benefit for the neighborhood. The application actually does a really good job of explaining the purpose and the parameters for that. So I'll touch base with you tomorrow, and maybe I can even have Lani put that into a wrap up and send out the application to everyone here so everyone can see it with fresh eyes. And there are also a lot of good resources here. Some NACs just submit quite a lot of matching grant requests and really do well and are really creative and can serve as templates for any other NAC. And of course, everyone here is very willing to help. And Miles can pretty much, start a project, start to finish, and do it all for you. So there's a lot of resources, and we've got a big pot of money this year, which is so exciting. So I encourage everyone to get excited about it.
Great. Thank you. Any other comments or questions or concerns?
Is Eric going to come out of retirement for the voters forum?
I heard him indicate that he had done his last. So we'll see. All this discussion for voters forum and other events yet to come.
Great. Thank you. So if we have nothing else, we'll move on to the meeting's actionable items and dates to remember. Ellen.
Okay, not a lot of them today. And a lot of it is in the chat. So the first thing is from our Councilor Liaison is to look at the Legislative Framework Agenda Bill, and the link is in the chat. And if you have any questions for her, her email is there as well. Second thing is the website redesign. First thing is to have patience while they're going through this process. And the second thing is to go through the current website and look at content, structure, and organization and see what you would like improved and let them know so they can incorporate that into the final design. Third thing was code compliance and sidewalk repair. So their website is, the phone number is in the chat. If you have any questions about code compliance, or if you have noticed a sidewalk that might need repair of your homeowner that needs to talk about sidewalk repair, reach out. It sounds like they have a really responsive group of people working on that. And the fourth is think about what subcommittee you'd like to join. You can switch from last year to this year. You can try them out. You can sort of float between them for a few months. If you have any questions, please reach out. And thank you all for coming. 2022 is going to be a kick-ass. Oh, Sharon, please. What did I miss? Please teach me.
Oh, no. You did a fabulous job. No. So a couple of things is that look for Lani's email for the city update, the Thursday orientation for boards and commissions. Review the resource handbook, and that was in our email that went out. And also at the end of the chat, if you go into it, for those probably most people know, go down to the very, very bottom and over to the right on the bottom, there's an ellipsis or 3 dots, and you can save your chat by clicking on that. And I'm going to see if it works this time. I think it might have saved it, but you should be able to then print it out so that you have most all of the things that had been typed into the chat. I have had some issues with the government.gov, so see if it works for you. And I want to say congratulations, Bintu. Great job. Congratulations to the new folks that are coming on board. Great to see you and looking forward to working with you all. And to all the members who have returned, this is one fantastic group. And Councilor Nadia Hessen, thank you too. I mean, excellent update that you gave.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sharon. That was a wonderful close to the meeting. It's been a pleasure being here with you all. Have a wonderful evening, and to that, I adjourn the meeting till our February meeting. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful night.